What is up, everybody? It's another crazy week. We got fights going on at the White House. We got the Iran war supposed to have been ended. We'll see. I hope so. We got Netanyahu saying he's not going to listen to that. We got all these other countries coming to the USA talking about how much they love it, and we're going to be talking about it all. But I'm bringing my good friend Ken Baden on. Me and Ken started working together a while ago. He runs multiple different companies, and he's just an entrepreneur that I love to death, who's down to earth and easy to talk to, and he's easy on the eyes, ladies. So be careful. Everybody, welcome Ken.
Thank you so much for that kind introduction, buddy.
Well, when I'm in chiseled shape myself, I hope somebody, when they bring me onto their podcast, goes, and he's easy on the eyes too.
Yeah,
you know,
that was all I was ever. That's all I ever wanted. Now
my wife says it, but I don't believe her. It's kind of, she's like, no, you look really. She'll touch my face and she'll go, you look really handsome, and I'll be like, all right, you gassing me up?
Like your mom or your grandma saying that.
Yeah, you gassing me up, mama? What is this? Which
what do you want?
Let's be honest, I'm okay with a little bit of gassing up. You know what I mean? Who's an enemy of that?
Right.
Nobody
who's no sane person.
Have you seen these Europeans though talk about this? How Americans, like, whenever somebody says something nice, they get suspicious.
Yeah, Becca, my wife doesn't. She would say she doesn't handle compliments super well. She's just kind of like, she wants comedy. I don't know. I guess that is maybe that's an American thing. I don't know. I love them. I'm all about them.
Yeah, dude. Well, that's a lot of them are saying this. They're saying that they are in this scenario where they're walking down the street and a person will be like, hey man, I love that outfit. And they're like, what are you going to try to sell me? Because they're used to all the stupid merchants everywhere in their cities that are like, yes, my friend, come closer. Come closer.
Okay.
Well, I love the way your outfit. Here's a bracelet to compliment the outfit, And then, it's free, just for a little donation, or whatever. And we're actually just meaning that's a cool outfit. Have a good day,
And so it's the other way around. Okay, that makes way more sense. Yeah. So we're actually, for once, we're the nicer people, I guess.
Well, have you seen these videos? They're all saying that. They're like, dude, everybody lied to us. Americans are incredibly generous. They're kind. They're loving. They're surprised by it.
I haven't. I gotta watch those. I have not.
Dude, they're great. I'm like binging them at night from like 1 a.m. to 2:30. I'm like binging these people just falling in love, but they're falling in love with the worst stuff. They're like, have you guys tried Waffle House? And I'm like,
you guys had
you're gonna be trying the American toilet later if you're not careful, And dude, they're doing Chipotle, Waffle House, and like freaking, I don't know, McDonald's all in the same day. And I'm like, dude, this is a dangerous game, friendo. You're playing roulette.
Some serious bowel movements, especially because of all the poison we put in all of our stuff. But I digress.
Everybody can use a little red 40. No problem. Just
my buddy's a Jamaican. You met Roger, his uncle. Well, they're not real uncle, but you know how that goes, right? Everybody's an uncle, but they're all for some reason I'm friends with a whole bunch of Jamaicans, and like they trash our food, dude. Like he's like, I won't eat. They call pears avocados pears, and he's like, I won't eat pears from here because like at home I can eat them off the tree, and like I can eat whatever I want. I hear that in Italy too, like all kinds of pasta, and you don't feel full, and then you eat like one burger here, and you're like, I don't know, a rock in your stomach, which is terrifying because we've just been consuming that, since birth. But
yeah, we're like the goldfish that's in the water that's muddy and we can't tell. We're like, you guys can see where you're from. I can only see 2 inches in front of my face.
Maybe that's why we're so nice. Maybe it's something we're putting in the food.
Yeah, it's all the estrogen turning the frogs gay.
That's definitely what it is, dude.
Turning all the frogs gay. Listen, Joe.
All the guys are really
listen, Joe. But there has been, what's interesting about all these people coming to the U.S. right now for this World Cup.
Oh, for the World Cup, that's why they're all here.
That's why they're all here. It's for the World Cup. Duh. And so they're coming to the different like events and stuff, and like the Scots are in Boston. So all the people. So I didn't know how this worked. Essentially, FIFA or the World Cup basically says, "Hey, United States, where do you want us to put Argentina?" And they chose Kansas City for them. Where do you want us to put Germany? They chose Alexandria, Virginia for them. Where do you want us to put? And so all these different little nooks and crannies have different groups that are there. And it's like Texas. I don't know. I think it's Algeria has Lawrence is in Kansas and Lawrence, Kansas or something. And like the dude, just Americans are so much kinder than people thought they were, and it's like evident now that that's happening.
Well, Becca was telling me, and now this is all. So I didn't see that, but I did see she was like, "Yeah, the Europeans are freaking out because of our weather," and I'm like, "What is it nicer?" She was like, "No, the storms. Like they haven't seen like real, I guess, our thunderstorms." She's like, "Which is weird because don't they have the same weather?" So now she's like convinced that like I
We
don't
have
know.
some weird store-bought weather.
Yeah, pretty
Which,
much.
let's be honest, look, I mean, look, China said when I first started making content, 6 years ago or whatever it was, and I saw China had written something saying that they'll be able to control almost all of their weather by 2030. So it's like, if they can do it, you really think we can't you really think we can't do it? You know what I mean? So obviously we can do something.
Yeah, well, and there's all these patents and stuff. It's one of those things like there's so much about it that it's like the men in black put all that stuff out there to where it's just like I don't know. It seems like the more it's like the UFO stuff, right? They just like dump it all on us and like, yeah, we don't give a shit. But it's like when it was like a clip here or there, everybody's interested. And now it's like I guess universally accepted that it is, but no one really. It's almost like people people disregard it more now than like ever before, or just
Right.
like they accept it, but they also kind of like, yeah, it's not really real until I guess we have to like hang out with them. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah, well, it's like they do this with movies too. It's like exposure therapy to basically create a lack of knee jerk shock reaction, like there should be. If you were told that the CIA took people off of the streets, brought them into a room, and told them, "Hey, listen to whatever the doctor says," and then a guy comes in with a white coat, and they tell you to shock a person, and whatever happens, you have to keep doing it. And I don't know if you heard about this. This is real. They were basically told, "Hey, come into this building, and just do what the doctor says." So they said, "Okay, I'll do that." Americans. So they sat in a room, and there's like a glass between them and like this person, and this person is hooked up to electrical wires. Okay, and the doctor is telling them shock them. Right. And so, like, there's a setting from like 1 to 10, how painful of the shock. And so the American will be sitting there going, looking at the doctor, and the doctor's asking questions to the person on the other side of the glass and going, "What about this?" And then the person doesn't answer or answers incorrectly. And then they look at the American that they brought in for the experiment, and they're like, "Okay, go ahead." And then the person's like, "All right, I guess the doctor said to do it." Meh. And they shock them. And then the person, it got to the point in these experiments where the person is literally begging, "Stop." They've got it on 9, and the person's like, "Stop, stop, ah." And they're like, and they just look at the doctor like, "Am I supposed to keep going? I feel bad, but should I do it again?" And almost all of them kept going. And so if you found that out about the government, you would be like, my knee-jerk reaction is to go ahead and execute everybody involved with that. That's fair. Then the next step would be probably to dismantle the CIA entirely. So what they do is they drip this stuff in movies so that the first time you hear about it wasn't the actual event. It was, I heard about this 6 times in movies, and now my emotional energy towards something that's new to me is sucked out of me. I don't have the Oh, of course. Oh, of course. There's no need to go grab the pitchforks and the torches. I'm already burnt out on this subject, dude. What's next? And they do that with the Marvel movies. And they do it with a bunch of different other types of movies, like they did it with X-Files. They did it with a lot of different stuff. You know what I mean? And so yeah,
They
it's
just
like
came
it's
out
like
with that one
exposure
movie
therapy.
that's Disclosure Day. That kind of freaked me out. Knowing that, I'm like, oh God, here we go, dude. You know what
Oh
I
yeah,
mean?
what are they about to dump on you now so you don't care about it when it comes out?
Right.
It turns out I don't know if you heard Matt Gaetz talk about this. He had a guy come to him in military uniform and tell him that they have alien human torture mating rituals set up in like 9 to 13 different locations, and he could tell them the locations, bro. It's like,
Matt Gates said he can tell them locations. Yeah, I've
no,
heard.
the guy that came to Matt Gaetz said that.
Oh,
Now
oh
you
yeah. I did hear that. I did hear that. Yeah, that's
now
fucking
you could call that a psyop, like maybe they're trying to tell everybody whatever, but like when you dig deep on the weird satanic ritual stuff, that's not that weird. I mean, pretty much what the Nephilim are is supposed to have been humans and demons mating together. And I personally think aliens are demons. That's my
I was
personal
gonna say,
opinion.
I've heard you say that before. You think? I mean, what is that? Where you're going with this is because a lot of this stuff, it almost seems like they'd rather you believe they being. Here's what I don't get: like people like me and you, I think we get along, and we get lumped into camps and politicized, and then it's like you stay over here, you stay over here, and that's definitely by design, which is hilarious because to think we have any kind of choice or any like different anything is just like, give me a break. But still, it happens, and they create this divide, and it's like it's like we see what's happening, but we still kind of fall into some of it. But like there are the guys like me and you, or the people like me and you that ask why, or we can like kind of just see the plays that are being ran. You know what I mean? You know, not all, but most of it. It's like there's something going on here, dude. Like there's no way, like what we just talked about, like with why are you pushing this much stuff, and then conveniently, oh, you release all of this, or you release all of this. What are you trying to distract us from? And then you make a joke about that and make that like, you know, that is crazy to even say that. It's just like you can call the plays before they even happen, but the masses are like so willing to eat like whatever is fed to them. I just don't get that. I don't know if that's like an older person, like a boomer thing. That's what Becca tends to. I keep referring to my wife. Like Becca thinks this. I don't have any original thoughts, but she thinks it's a boomer deal where they're like so ingrained in it. It's just past. They're too far gone. You know what I mean? We're like we've been exposed.
You mean they're too far into the hypnosis to be able to stop looking at the hypnotic machine and go, hey, wait a minute, who's controlling the thing?
Yeah. I think it's social media. I think social media, like the age we grew up in, we got a taste of that. And then we got a taste of like unfiltered internet that just like, you know, ogreish and, you know, those dying videos, all kinds of crazy stuff you watch when you're a kid.
The Instagram channels that disappear after 6 months and they start a new one that's like Gore Destroyer 7000, and you're like, what is this? And it's like a guy getting run over, and you're like, oh, that's terrible. What other videos do they have?
I can't stop watching it, but that's what we grew up on, right? And so now it's like I feel like we've been desensitized, but I don't know where I was going with that, other than like we and then probably everybody that watches your stuff, like we're the people that ask why, we're the people that like challenge the like, well, that doesn't make any sense. Let me dig a little bit deeper here.
Well, you asked about, do I think it's demons?
Yes, that's where I was getting at. I don't know why. My ADHD took over there. Thank you for reeling that back.
Oh, it's fine. Yeah, I think it's demons. Yeah, I think it's demons. You know, I know a lot of people don't love what Tucker Carlson has to say now because he's not like on the Trump train anymore or whatever. But like, I appreciate people that have the ability to not be on the Trump train. I'm not on the Trump train right now. I'm a value. And I said this before I ever even told people to vote for him. Which, by the way, it was still better than voting for Kamala. Okay, so don't get me wrong. But in my head, I'm thinking I am
to see like, dude, what the hell? But anyways,
I'm loyal to you as a president to the degree that you seem to be loyal to the people and to the Constitution. When you get away from it, I'm going to critique you, and that's the way it should be. I'm going to criticize you because
that's the way it should be.
You're my employee. Like every government official is my employee. You know what I mean? And so I'm gonna gripe about it all the time. So yes, I think it's demons. I think that there is, when you start digging into how did we get the technology that we got at various different points throughout history, and then you look at the book of Genesis and you go through the biblical account for when they were building the Tower of Babel, and they were operating perfectly together. Like what technology did they have to make to all work together so well? And then, you know, and then God splits their languages and they have to go different directions. So they can't basically perfect sin. They can't perfect evil or whatever. And then you look at all these different technological advances that some of them seem to have, and you go, all right, hang on a second. What exactly is a Black Hawk helicopter made out of? What exactly is Element 131 or whatever they call it? Phil Schneider had a crazy video that he brought some metal stuff and he was like, this isn't on the periodic table, and he threw it on the table, and people were like, what the heck? And he was right. And even Bob Lazar talked about certain periodic elements that existed. And so anyway, all this to say, if you're a demon, if God's real and demons are real, they probably know things about the way things were made that you would not know having shown up here later, right? And so if you talk with them and you get into these weird satanic ritual groups where they do these psyche breaking intense rituals where, like, okay, here's an example, a great example. Jason Bourne, right? You've seen The Bourne Identity. If you remember, he was essentially a super soldier, right? Who was, his brain was fractioned to not know who he was, right? That's a very common thing that satanic ritual abuse attempts to accomplish. And the way that they do this is they will literally put you in a bathtub and drown you, and then they'll resuscitate you with CPR afterwards. And then when you come back to, they'll literally call you a different name and hold a certain smell under your nose. Okay. So now they're like, hey, Nathan, you're not Nathan anymore. You're Nate. Nate, are you okay? Nate, I'm glad you're here. Here's lilac. I'm putting lilac under your nose. So now, then they tell Nate, hey, it's time to go do some weird stuff to that other kid, John. We have to sacrifice him in front of these 13 other people. And so Nate will get used to doing incredibly difficult, nasty things. And then he'll go to sleep. He'll wake up in the morning and he's Nathan again. And then when these CIA handlers or satanic ritual activators come back around them, they'll put lilac on their nose and go, hey, how's it going? And they'll tap them on the shoulder the way that they were tapped on a shoulder in the satanic rituals to try to re-trigger that fracturing of their mind to go into that person because look, if you get abused a certain amount and there's no way to escape, your brain as a defense mechanism escapes by fracturing itself. There's no safe place, so you create a safe place internally, and that is a separate identity. And so that's how a lot of these people that you look at politicians, you're like, how the hell are you guys so evil? How do you have these crazy double lives? How does everybody in Hollywood have a handler? What happened to Britney Spears? What happened to Kanye?
Yeah.
What happened to why was Martin Lawrence running around with a gun? All these different scenarios, and then you go, oh, that's how these upper echelons of society decide who's going to play at the Super Bowl. Who are we going to give authority to? Well, we're these secret societies that were taken over by Luciferians and basically high level, if you get into it, Frankists, which is like a Jewish Kabbalah like conglomerate. They're basically taken over. This is a long story, but I'm just helping people kind of understand it who don't understand any of this.
It's interesting stuff, man.
They basically will say, hey, Dave Chappelle talked about this, how the sign the thing, sign it. And then what they'll do is they'll honeypot you right before you sign a contract. You'll make out with a 17-year-old that you didn't know was 17 or whatever at a party because they got you drunk at one of those parties. And then now you're in this scenario where the next day after the party, you got to go sign contracts and they show you the video. Hey, here's the video of you doing this. You can sign and we're going to give you $10 million, or you can not sign and we'll release the video and we'll wreck the rest of your future, or whatever. And so now they've got a somewhat, they've got a somewhat already compromised psychologically person who's done something to compromise themselves, and they have control of them, and they're giving them money, and so they have more than just a little bit of control. They have like complete control of their career. And so they'll go, hey, we want to make you shine and everything, but they never pay them the way they should be paid. They pay them in advance. So they're always also in debt to them. Yeah. And they do this a lot with musicians.
Yeah, where hey, the whole music industry is like that.
Yeah, that's how the music industry is. Hey, we'll give you a $2 million advance, and you have to go on tour until you pay it back. And the only way you can pay it back is through ticket sales. Everything else, like the food, the drinks, everything else that people buy at the stuff has nothing to do with your contract. It's just ticket sales. And so then at the last minute, when not a lot of ticket sales, they drop the price of the ticket sales so low that the person can barely pay anything back, and they're basically enslaved. And so anyway, all of this, then you start thinking, who decided to do these weird blackmail operations, these ritual abuse operations, these honeypot operations? Who decided this? It's like the most entrenched, deep version of actual slavery. And there's only one person that can come up with that. And that's like somebody who loves the devil. You know what I mean? And so anyway, all that to say, yes, I think aliens are a part of that. And there's been a lot of people that have been in alien abductions and stuff, and they cry out to Jesus, and then the alien abduction ends quickly, And so, there's been a lot of those stories that have gone around. So I don't know everything, but I know enough to be able to realize that they're trying to push the whole world in a certain direction. And if the story of aliens that they tell everybody is true, then it would make a lot of people who are faith oriented be like, I don't know if I can believe everything that I thought I could. Although, just for the record, if aliens are real, that has nothing to do with my faith. Like the Jesus never said that he didn't make other dogs that are smarter than humans outside of our planet. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
They might
that's
not
what I
have a
was actually
soul.
driving at too. Was like, why are they so open to, especially all of a sudden, like aliens, 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 and then they leak things like, oh, Bill Gates said if people knew the truth about aliens, they'd question their religion. Like, okay, dude. I mean, again, that just always for me kind of circles back to like, that seems a little forced. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, why don't you ever talk about ever religion? How come that? I mean, it's just like aliens, 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 tech, aliens, but never. And we know for, I mean, a fact that there's all these like weirdo, like you said, satanic ritual stuff, like with like the Skull and Bones and all these other societies, like politicians have been a part of, even if it's just like, oh, that's just a little goofy thing we do. Like, no, it's weird, bro. And like, we just got the whole, I don't know, Epstein thing, which like, you're not supposed to talk about, I guess, but like that was a pretty big deal, and that
Yeah,
seems
and they're
pretty
just sweeping
satanic,
it, and they're just sweeping it under the rug like nobody
right?
cares.
Which is why most people are pretty pissed off. But
Yeah, I mean that's
that's
definitely
gross.
one of the reasons that I think people like myself are frustrated with Trump, is
Yes,
because it was like, dude, okay, you know that that Dan Bongino and all these other people that are affiliated with your campaign, even including your son, were nonstop talking about Epstein and hoping for the truth behind that. You also know that we all didn't want income tax. You also know that the Doge thing was supposed to root out all the stuff. You also know that we were supposed to have mass deportations. You know that all these things were essentially campaign promises, whether you spoke them out of your mouth specifically or not. You know what our expectations were. And now what's happening? We're getting none of it. And it's just kind of like, all right, man, like, you can't help but be a little bit disappointed.
yeah, of course, of course.
But all this to say, there's essentially a global attempt to destroy, I think, white culture, Western ideology. And I think it's because it's rooted in biblical ideology, which values human beings above ants and animals and things like that. There's a dignity that comes along with Christian ideology. And I'll explain this a little bit, that a lot of people haven't put together. They think that like most good people, right? Good people, you think that everybody thinks like you. And so you're like, if I go to India and I'm like, I fall on the side of the road with a broken leg, like everybody's going to pull over and help me like they do in America. Dude, I had a flat tire today and a guy came and tried to help, you know?
we are pretty nice. You know what? Yes.
But the ideas come from biblical ideology. Even the things that the liberals get mad at the United States government for doing to other countries is because even liberals have a certain expectation of what a hero is supposed to be. And they have Christian virtue attached to him. Selfless, free, that's how everybody should be. That is a Christian virtue in and of itself. Dude, in India right now, I just showed a video about this on my feed the other day. Dude, like if you have female daughters, they will literally strangle them when they come out. When they find out what the gender is, because they don't want to have to pay a dowry for somebody to take the wife, and they can't work like boys. And this is fleshed out in a book called The Book That Made Your World. It was a really great author. He's an Indian author, and he went to India and he went to a family and they had a baby that was a girl baby, and she was dying on their kitchen table slowly. They just weren't feeding her. And he was like, "Hey, guys, something's wrong with her." And they were like, "Yes, she's a girl. We don't have time to like take care of her medical needs." And so the guy was like, "Oh, don't worry about that. I'll pay for the hospital." And then the dad was like, "Well, we appreciate it, but if you paid for the hospital, I'd have to take off of work to go as well to the hospital." And they were like, "This is the craziest thing I've ever heard. No, we'll pay you what you would make that day at work, so you don't lose any money, and we'll take her." And they were like, "Yeah, but then I have to like keep feeding her afterwards." And essentially what it came down to was this Hindu belief, which is a belief in a lot of different cultures that don't have Christ-centered ideology, that humans are valuable, is this idea in Hinduism that essentially says a rat is a dog, is a pig, is a human. They're all the same. So when Christ, who was fully human, came to earth, it dignified the human race as precious to God for everybody. In fact, Here's a really easy way to see this. You're familiar with the wheelbarrow, right? Like a single person in a wheel, right? For generations and generations and generations, that technology existed. But many other countries that did not have Christ anywhere related to them would just have two people, like a stretcher. You carry the front half, I'll carry the back half. It's two slaves, right? So it's like willingly subjecting humans to toil, even though the technology is available, because they didn't value humans. And so Christian ideology says that we are above the created order. So therefore, we'll use a donkey for this. We'll use a horse for this instead of multiple men pulling a rope at the same time. So in fact, a really interesting feature, and then we'll shut up and we'll go to another subject. A really interesting feature of this throughout history is when you look at art. Very frequently, they did not have pictures of yokes for animals in other cultures because it would be human yokes, not animal yokes, because they didn't mind just 12 slaves doing what two horses can do for the longest time, even though the horses were available and the yokes were available, until the Christian monks started going places and implementing the mill with the donkey circling and crushing the grain with the big wheel and stuff like that. That's why all these technological advances came forward, is because Christians were like, work is good, but toil is actually evil for humans to have to submit themselves to forever. But that's a Christian idea. So anyway, I think that the global order sees the Christian ideology and goes, in order for us to enslave the planet the way that we want to, that cannot be a shining beacon of expectations among humans, that humans deserve to be treated a certain way. We have to rid that ideology. Well, how do you do that? You import millions of people that are slave class and don't have that ideology into those cultures, and you destroy the country. So now that the Bill of Rights is nowhere to be found. So now you can treat humans however you want. You can create an actual global slave class. Why do they want to depopulate the planet? Well, the reason they want to depopulate the planet is because you only have enough prison guards for so many prisoners. And so that's kind of like my thinking about a lot of this stuff, is that they're attempting to basically create what the Bible clearly articulates as the Antichrist plan agenda, which is like global slavery unless you worship the beast. And the beast is, somebody that is not Jesus and doesn't endorse these values. So I think they're trying to destroy the Western world because of that. And the Western world has its roots inside of Christian values, which means inside of human values, which is anti-tyranny in and of itself. So there you go.
This is really depressing. But it's
But
real.
it makes sense, right?
Yeah, it makes sense. I'm just like, wow, well, this is so glad I got on the phone with you, Ross.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Would you like a muffin?
Go.
Would you like a muffin?
Hope you weren't looking to get anything funny out of this, because I'm really depressed now. But it's because it's the reality of what's going on, dude. That's
well, you can joke it when you know it. You know what I mean? You can joke it when you know it. It's like, you losers just want me to eat the bugs and get in the smart city, don't you? And they're like, yeah, we do. That's why we put flock cameras everywhere. I don't know if you heard about the flock cameras, where they have like 330,000 of these cameras that basically scan your license plate and scan the driver and basically track everywhere you go all the time. And they're not even owned by the government. It's a third party entity that's doing this, and it's connected to Palantir, the AI surveillance data, and so it's like, dude, they want a rat civilization so bad they can taste it. Which is why they want to kill free speech, which is why they want to do blah, 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 blah. You get it. But the cool thing is, with all these people coming from Europe and coming to America and going, your culture is great, it's just bolstering the, dare I say, white people or Western ideology, right? That basically says, no, you should not let mass hordes of people destroy this thing. It is actually beautiful.
Well, you know what's interesting, man, I've got such a diverse friend group, man, and I probably am. I don't know. I hang around a lot of Jamaicans. I don't know where that came from, but they think the same way we do, man. And like, they also are like, nah, bro. Like, I think it's just an ideology that's going to be tough for them to swallow too, I guess was what I'm getting at. Like, we're we all get along and attract, like attracts like. And I think that's kind of why, and the irony is, man, they probably vote differently or whatever. And I don't know why. And I don't, whatever. But the bottom line is like, we think the same. And at the core, I know what their values are. And like my buddy Sean, like he's the same way. In fact, he's a lot more extreme than I am about a lot of stuff. So much so that I'm like, I can't have you on the podcast. But, he's just they're like super old school Christian, like 50 years ago. You know what I mean? Like,
Sure.
hey, let's ease up on some of these things. You know what I mean? So, but
Well, you're saying they vote blue, but they believe conservative ideology at the core?
Yeah, I would say like what we get lumped into, because again, you get pushed into a camp because like there's a line drawn, and like for him, they're really big on like, I'm a business owner, so I try to just stay in business, man. And like, you know what I mean? Your whole shtick is like politics and things like that. So I try to just kind of like, hey, look, everybody love everybody, do our thing and whatever. Of course, I have my lines where I draw and want to make sure like, my daughter's protected and all those things. And ultimately, but like for him and their beliefs, especially in Jamaica, they're really still very far behind on like, people that are openly exploring their sexuality and things like that. That's not his bag or any of their bags. Like they just really are like, no. We don't.
Gross, Ken. Gross. I can't believe you mentioned the absolute deflectors. I'm just kidding.
Well, I'm just saying, like those guys, man, are like really old school. They remind me just like old school Christian, man, like 5 generations ago. And like, I guess the irony is like they're almost going to be our, all of us, if we all thought the same way and we all end up here in this state. What I'm really driving at is this. Most of my foreign friends are more American than the Americans that I know that are born here now, like the younger ones.
Right.
You know what I mean? That don't value all the freedoms that we have and don't value the opportunities that we have to make money and to create businesses. And they just think like this is just how the whole rest of the world goes. It's like, brother, I promise you it's not. You know what I mean? Because I have friends who are, Jewish, Indian, freaking Jamaican, like Italian, just from Mexican, they all come here to make it. So like,
right. And the reason they come here is because of Western ideology that values meritocracy.
And they think the same way, right? Like they all
and they go, I want to grind and get rich. Yep. Where can I go to do that? Where they don't steal all my money and give it to people that are literally sucking. And that's kind of the whole point of this, is that it's a cancer. This ideology that we're talking about it's basically victimhood that's weaponized, that makes the government steal other people's money to give it to you. So the government gets more control and then puts everybody at the slave class later. That's kind of the whole point. The whole point of all the pressure that everybody feels is so that everybody has to have a common denominator and they all suck except for the ultra rich, and then you're all enslaved. And so the reason that people come here and they love what we do and love everything about the country, or they love the ability to make it, is because it's one of the last places in the world where you can actually go somewhere and abide by the values of the Constitution, which is about humans being valuable, Yeah.
Which is sad. We have to like explain that humans are valuable, but I don't know, man. Then you see stuff like those files and things like that. I got a daughter, man. Like my whole everything changed with that, man. Having her, like, she's the coolest thing ever. And for me, I have never felt more urgency to like lock in and just like make money and be successful, but for different reasons. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
I know that my life is finite, and especially me, given my past, with addiction and things like that, I didn't expect to be here like right now. Right. But now I have a whole different purpose. And it's like, dude, how can I be? We talk about this all the time, right? Like my duty as a man, whatever, dude, like, is to provide for my family the best possible opportunity I can. And I've never felt more urgency to do so than I do now with like everything going on. I'm sure people have always said this, but like, I just feel this weight of just like, gotta go right now. Like, all right. And that gets a little dangerous. And it's like, well, what are the rules? I don't even give a damn anymore. Give me the rules. And I got to figure out a way to win with these rules. You know what I mean? And
right.
that gets a little dicey because, you're accepting, but man, as a family.
Well, that's where you get these pressures that cause people, not you, but I'm talking about regular people that might not have an actual legitimate moral framework, where they go, I see this with influencers a lot, where they'll get offered an ad campaign about something that they don't like, but it pays them well enough. And they go, yeah, okay, I'll do it because everything's so hard and I have to take care of my family. Well, they made everything so hard. They made it this hard to be able to take care of things. They made it this difficult. Over 75 years, they made it this difficult to basically be able to actually succeed at the thing. And so now, in order for you to succeed, you're willing to sell your birthright. You're willing to sell your morals. You're willing to whatever. And so that's why I'm so hell bent on just telling the truth, even if it's not popular, because it's like, dude, there's only a few of us left. I feel like that'll actually just say what should be said, if that makes sense.
There are very, very, very few, man. You know what I mean? And even, like I said, dude, you caught me like, well, I'm a business. You know what I mean? I try not to just like, but in that respect, I have other people that work for me. And so I do have to be careful on that, my opinion. I don't want my opinions to ever affect or negatively impact anybody else. But that's also a shame because free speech should just be like that free speech, right? Like,
yeah.
But you also have to be cognizant of like, you can't just say whatever crazy stuff. You can say it, but you may have to then deal with the consequences of what happens when you say that. You know
I'll say it. I'll say it. You don't have to say it. I'll say it.
I'll give it to you and you can say it. Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. I'll say it. But the thing is that, the truth of the matter is even those people that would react negatively, if you
I've got to go to the gym, by the way. So if you see me slowly taking clothes off, I'm not being weird. I'm just like,
no, you're being a little weird. You're being a little weird either way. You're being a little PC and you're stripping. You might as well be a liberal.
I am being PC, dude. I know you weren't expecting. Like, son of a b, dude. Why did I have you on, Ken? I want to talk about fine. Epstein.
I have to like censor you. I have to like anti-censor you. Like, what did you mean by those types of people? Did you see the thing where they're talking about not doing free refills anymore at all of the fast food restaurants? You know how you can go up to the machine and just get your own refill or whatever?
They're not doing that anymore?
No, they're getting rid of it in lots of fast food locations because of changing consumer habits, which is code for everybody asks for a cup of water and then they go fill it up with Sprite. And who are we talking about that does that? Which people are we talking about? So like, come on, you know what I mean? Like, it's a game. It's a game here, friendo. And look, I have a black brother. Okay. So like, I don't think I'm thinking it's obviously I'm not stupid. People that are like blatantly out loud, like, no, I dislike all people that are like this. That's actually low IQ. That's stupid because every person is different, but you're also stupid if you don't go, yeah, there's a trend amongst these people that do this type of thing. It's just what it is,
Yeah. I thought you were talking about me because I do that. I did that shit all the time.
You do that?
Not now, but I did.
I did. Jamaicans. You've been hanging out with too many Jamaicans,
I stole from Giant to eat. You see only this, bro.
Yeah, I see the slightly redeemed version of you. Right. I know there's a Joker.
What used to be, my friend. So I look. I was in Giant the other day, man. And your viewers are probably, what the hell is he talking about? I was homeless. I had a drug addiction, and God bless, I have been redeemed. But in all seriousness, that was 9 years ago, and I'm big in sobriety, and I love all of that. And so, but I can laugh about it, dude, because it's funny, man. Like, you and I are very similar in that regard, right? So like, I'm at the grocery store with my wife, and I always like, she hates because some of the stories are pretty gnarly. I got some things that she's like, don't tell me that. But like one of, I used to go to Giant and like the chicken nuggets were particularly easy to steal because you just grab them and then you just pop a few and then you just place them on the, they don't really pay attention. Grapes, things like that, things that you can grab by the handfuls. I'd like pocket them, take some from in there. And I would just daily go into Giant and just, so I went in there the other day and found the same chicken nuggets, and I was like, dude, look at that. I remember I used to like steal these, and like, look how far I've come. I took a picture of the back on. I was like, look, I don't got to steal these anymore. I've come a long way,
Hey guys, here's a few hundo. What is this for, sir? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
To be honest, I did think about doing that. That's part of our deal is like making things right. And I'm like, I got to do this, but it gets a little scary. You're like, I used to steal chicken nuggets here back in the day. And that wasn't the only place, bro. I used to, but anyways, let me not incriminate myself anymore before my wife. I hear my wife in the back of my head. She's an attorney. Like,
she's like, shut up. Yeah. There was one time I know a guy who one time was, he shot a deer in the head with a 22 in a public park so he could eat the deer because he got sick of trying to hunt and not being successful. And he almost called the game warden on himself to tattle on himself because he felt so bad for it later. And then luckily some of his friends were like, don't do that. So thank God that guy didn't do that and get like 6 felonies.
Not a very good criminal.
Yeah, So it would have been a pretty bad thing for that guy that I know. Fairly jolly fellow. But anyway, that was, that guy told me that story like literally 15 years ago. So
I was going to say, it sounds like the statute of limitations is up for that guy. So he's probably all right.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably fine. He's probably doing great with kids. So, but anyway, so anyway, I'm seeing all these people come to the United States and they're just loving the culture. They're loving what they're seeing. They're loving the way the people are, and I think I think we needed this, man, because we needed a reminder of what it's like to be like, America is actually awesome. You know what I mean?
Right.
And if
yes.
It really is. And if
there's some kicks in the nuts that we've been all experiencing as a collective here, but at the end of the day, here, you know what? And again, I've been Mr. Captain PC on here, but let me give you guys a little bit of positivity because old Ross has been he's got me. I got to go dig into some conspiracy theories when we get off of this. But in all seriousness, I was homeless, busted 9 years ago, dude. I have built 2-3 businesses to 7 and 8 figures over the last 6 to 8 years. And I'm not like some amazing savant. I just work hard. If you're willing to work hard here, and that's what these guys, that come from other countries, man, like you can still do that. Unfortunately, what has been sorely lacking over the last couple of generations, especially folks that have come here, is work ethic, bro. And like a lot of the guys and gals that come from other countries, man, like they're willing to work hard, so they're gonna smoke you. But they come in here, but they love the American way, bro. And like in many ways, they're like, bro, every time I see my jeweler, like it's like, and dude, what a blessing that is to be like my jeweler. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't have a jeweler, I do now, but that's crazy, dude. He's like Jewish Jew. He's from Israel, and he has this accent. He's like, my friend. America's the greatest country in the world. There's only one place. Every time I see him, dude, it's like he's got this beautiful house in one of the most beautiful areas in Maryland. And he's like, dude, nowhere else can you do this. Same thing with my buddy whose dad's from India. Like these second generation Americans have like more American red, white, and blue in them because there's only a place like America where a guy like me or a guy from another country or wherever can still, even now, bust their ass and make something, man. And that's still really, really cool. Despite all the problems, all the flaws, you can still do some really extraordinary stuff here that you can't do anywhere else.
Right. No, it's true. It is true. And I think we have to keep it that way, though. That it's possible to actually.
I don't disagree by any stretch. I'm not saying ignore
they are
everything.
actively attempting to restrict the capability of doing that. Like I saw Cory Booker, a Democrat, just put a bill forward that is basically going to eliminate income tax up to $75,000 of income tax. Right. So it's $37.50. $37,500 per person, but if you file jointly, then it's $75,000 that you can basically say, I don't owe this income tax. So that's a really great idea. But the way that he says it's going to be paid for is from the people making more than that. So, okay, you just created a higher version of a slave class now. So anybody that's going to be like, well, I wanted to make 500 grand. Now they're going to be like, never mind.
Right. I'm going to stop here. Like, come on, man.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it's like, dude, you can't, it's just like everybody's mad that Elon's a trillionaire now.
Right.
They're like, dude, literally people on Twitter are just talking about this nonstop. They're like, steal this guy's money already. And it's just like, bro, do you not understand like how bad of an idea that is?
Too.
Yeah, you have, I mean, maybe not the exact same opportunity because let's be honest, Elon came out of the gate with some kind of a weird calculator.
Daddy had a little bit of scratch.
Well, he also had like a calculator in his brain or something, dude. That guy's he's on another level.
He's brilliant. He is a savant. Right.
Shout out Elon. I know you repost my stuff sometimes. Huge fan. Love to come out and see what you're doing.
So would I, Elon. I am also a huge fan and would also love to come see what you're doing and teach me business.
Yes. Teach me. Oh, Elon. I'd like to be a trillionaire. Could you
Yeah,
imagine being a
please.
trillionaire and just being like, how
Nah,
about everybody
dude.
tomorrow in
If
the
he's
entire
young
United
enough and
States
healthy
gets
enough to
fish?
enjoy it, and like, dude, he's no, I couldn't, but I want to, and I want, and we're gonna, dude. But see, man, don't get me started on this manifestation. I can't, but I need to. I need to. Like I have been really harping on the manifestation trend. I gotta freaking get, but I'm getting ready to go to Anne Marie with my wife on Friday, and I'm going. Listen to this. My other buddy, drug addict, loser, who then sold his business for 60 million, something like that, right? Another roofing guy. He's meeting me out at Anne Marie, and Becca wants to buy a place there, and she doesn't. She wants to go see it. To me, I'm like, cool, we're gonna buy a place there one day, right? Because you keep talking about this place, and I get so much joy out of doing things for other people because I've sufficiently proven to myself over time that like that's a much better motivator for me than self. Self doesn't get me very far. But
Yeah, right, right. I only
you know,
you put me in a cardboard box with AC, and I'm pretty satisfied.
right.
Yeah, but with
But
my kids and my wife, dude, I'm like, I'm gonna get you guys horses. I'm gonna buy
yeah,
you big property, which is what we
yeah.
have out here. You know,
But he's coming out there and he's like, dude, this guy was literally in the same position as me. He's a couple years ahead of me in business, but he's flying out there private to come see us. And I'm like, well, it's not like you're coming out here. First of all, he's got a coaching call with Ed Milet. He's going to go meet on his private island because Ed's got a private island. Then he's going to fly out and see me. Whatever. He's going to fly out and see me and Becca. And I'm like, we're not just flying out there to see. I said, well, actually, I kind of am. But they own like 4 properties out there. And he's got all this success and all this real estate. And again, the guy was completely felon, degenerate mess. And again, only in America can you do that. But like he couldn't conceptualize, I'm sure, being where he's at currently. So I'm really opening up the old brain to like, nah, dude, like if Brandon could do it, I can definitely do it.
yeah,
And what is possible thereafter? Like, what else can I do? So every new bar, it's like maybe, and then I'm going with him to look at these properties to now open up what's next, what's possible. Like, why not? Why isn't it possible? What's now? Elon has a calculator for a brain. Okay, I don't have that, right? But I got a little charm. I got some charm. I'm pretty funny.
yeah. You got,
You know what I mean?
and the truth of the matter is, for everybody listening, as soon as you figure out how to do one thing well, you can basically stay in that lane and get more and more and more proficient at it. And then naturally what happens is you go, now let me switch lanes, and I'm bad at this, but I know I have success in this thing, so I can figure this one out too. And then you figure another one out, and then eventually, if you're smart, those lanes intersect and you can go, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
And then everything, one day, it all just kind of clicks and you're like, boom, I'm making $1 million a year, you know?
Dude, I've been busting my butt at this remodeling company, man, and we've spent a lot of money this year. We're on pace to do what we did last year, but spend more money, which is unacceptable. But we're going to turn it around the back half of the year because we're going to end up making the results of that money spent happen. And I say this to say, like, it's never easy, but like, if you're willing to put in the work and you're willing to grind, you're willing to do it. Look at guys like Ross, look at guys like me. Like, I realize, okay, what am I not good at? But I may focus on what I am good at, man. I like people. I love people. I'm a damn good leader. And I know that. And that's okay to be confident in those things. So I'm going to lean into those things, man. I can recruit well. I can teach people to sell. I love helping other people, man. Like, we've got other things that we're working on that I'm teasing up for the roofing community where, I can start to bring some more of this type of stuff to the masses in the roofing world, teaching them some sales stuff because they're, a lot of insurance guys that don't know how to sell anything. So, there's just, I'm trying to diversify and really, but also be the best remodeling company we can be, especially here in our backyard. Be the best husband I can be the best father I can be the best shape I can be the best everything, set the bar. So yeah, I'm not Elon, and I won't have Elon's skill sets, and Elon's a 1 in a million guy, dude, right? Like but does Elon have my social skills? I bet not.
Right.
I bet not. Does he have my penchant for attire? I don't think so. No, I'd rather have his brain, but I'll use what I got, brother. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna go for it.
And you just have to get good. You just have to get good at one thing, and then you become confident. If you don't have confidence, men who are listening to this, get good at one thing, at the bottom of a thing. And then because you're good at something, people will hire you to do more of that something. And then you can move up the ranks slowly and start doing things yourself. Usually you are about 20 hours of annoying labor into something you don't know about to opening a whole new channel for yourself to be able to generate revenue from it. 20 hours of annoying work, sometimes 10 hours of just annoying work is enough to make you another $100,000 a year if you're smart.
Yep.
You know, and anyways,
a lot of times, man, it's your propensity to overcome fear, dude. Like if you are willing not to give in to fear, you got a really good shot, and you're willing to put some action behind it and work. There's a lot you can accomplish. I think it's awesome. Elon's a trillionaire. It inspires me, man. I want to try. Why not? I genuinely can fathom being a billionaire, right? Like, and
yeah,
why
that
not,
doesn't seem
right?
that hard.
Yeah, like, if I'm willing to work hard enough and I get blessed with enough life, yeah, I can see that 100%, dude. And I don't think that that's weird. And I think that I've seen some of the folks that have accomplished some extraordinary things, and I think I can do it too, you know. And 9 years
Sure.
ago, I was literally sleeping outside. So, like, you know what I mean? God bless the USA, baby. 250 years. Let's make sure we keep it this way.
Amen, dude. Well, it was good having you on, Ken. I'll call you on your trip to your gym in a second.
Yes.
And guys, thanks for tuning in for another. Thanks for tuning in to another episode, everybody. Much love, y'all, and we'll see you next time.